Namaskar,
Yeah.
Mayur.
Har Har Mahadev. Namaskar.
Har Har Mahadev. So, how are you?
I'm good. I'm getting better. It's a beautiful Sunday, and I'm very happy to be here to be invited by you to this podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
Yes.
Mayur, could you please explain why is Aghori such a misunderstood term?
Definitely. And if you allow me, I would begin my response to your question with something that gives me the confidence to answer your question, which is a Sanskrit shloka. I would like to start my part of answering your questions with the recitation of a shloka. Can I do that?
Yes, please.
And I'll follow it up with something that truly inspires me, a vibration which has no words but only vibrations, spiritual vibrations. I mean, by that I mean a shankh. So I want to first recite a shloka. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Shri Bhavani Shankaraya Namaha Om Shri Sadyojata Shankarashamaya Namaha Om Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam Varsishthante Vasat Rishiganaihi Avratam Brahmanishthaihi Acharyendram Karakalita Chinmudramanandamurtim Swatmaramam Muditavadanam Dakshinamurtimide Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badharayanam Sutra Bhashyakrita Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyommavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Namasye Purusham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param Alaksham Sarvabhutanam Antarbahir-avastha sthitam Om Namah Parvati Pataya Har Har Mahadev. And now, if you allow me,
Yes, please.
and as a way to ignite this podcast, I would like to play the conch, not blow the conch only, for all the viewers and for the souls that reside within all of them and all of us. I played this 3 times or thrice because the first time the soul gets awakened, but the second and third time it starts feeling the vibrations, the soul, and I think towards the end it starts swaying to the vibrations of the conch. So now to your question was about what was the
So
question?
why is Aghori such a misunderstood term?
That's an interesting question, because it is so true that they have not been understood correctly, and that also is because of the lack of knowledge about them. a lot of people who think about aghoris in not so positive manner are not even aware of who they are. It's more of hearsay, or they've been told. For example, Aghori, if suppose I say that, the other person would be, हाँ यार वो तो बहुत ऐसे है, खतरनाक है, they look very odd, they are scary, they are only found in smashan bhumis. So everything that I hear, though I don't know about them, is all negative. Which is exactly the reason I wrote a book, researched upon them. This negativity or the lack of understanding about Aghori sadhus is also because the Aghori sadhus are not very easily, if I may use the word, available to understand. Except for Kumbh Melas, you would never see an Aghori delivering a pravachan or an ashirvachan. They are in their own zone, their own spiritual zone. They're found in forests, in jungles. Junagadh is an area in Gujarat, and there is a forest called Gir Forest. Very deep inside the forest, a lot of aghoris are found. They're not interested in others coming and trying to know about them, which also is the reason why people make their own assumptions.
Stories
And
about
yeah, stories. And when they see the aghoris, it's very similar to you seeing a centipede, or my favorite that I'm drawn to, a king cobra. When you see a king cobra out in the open, the first thing that will happen is you'll be scared naturally. A king cobra is almost 14 to 17 feet long, huge in terms of compared to other snakes, and therefore we are scared. And if we take that memory of being scared, that's all that stays. But if you, and I've watched a king cobra in real a couple of times in the wild from a distance, I can assure you, Aarti, that if you watch a king cobra, observe a king cobra for some time, give it some time, without disturbing it, you will find it to be the most magnificent creatures that nature has created. It's beautiful, and it goes for every creature, including human beings. Aghori sadhus are very similar. If you watch them for some time, you may think negatively, but if you understand them, if you understand their life, their devotion to Mahadev, completely distinct and away from how we devote ourselves to Mahadev, you will appreciate them. Not just you, but anybody. And that's what happened to me. So this is my overall perspective to your question about why people have the negative thing, is because they don't know. The more they will know about Aghori sadhus, the less they will think negatively, the more they will understand and respect the Aghoris.
So you're saying that because they also choose to keep away, there is no way a normal human being can interact and know about them. And which is why we create our own stories in our heads and misunderstand them even more.
In fact, just to add a quick interjection to what you said, even when I wanted to do my research about Aghoris so as to know them, it was not easy because they didn't want to meet me. They, I feel, knew who wanted to meet me. I mean, who is this person? Because it was through an intermediary, somebody who I knew, and that person's uncle lived in Kashi, Varanasi.
Okay.
It took some time, and I was told that don't carry any gadgets, nothing that's electronic. And there's a message in that they don't want to be popularized. They don't want them to be clickbaits for different things on internet. And I really appreciated that. They are only towards completely connecting with Mahadev consciousness. They are not interested in this. And therefore, it took some time, but I eventually found myself seated in front of the Aghori Sadhu, two Aghori Sadhus. And they were also told about me
You
wanting
researching
to. Yeah,
about them.
yeah. And that I will not be coming there. I was allowed to carry notepad to write down. And that was an experience by itself. And I do believe that I believe in past life, past karmas, previous lives, previous births. And I know that there have been some lives that the soul inside me has lived as Aghori. Not today, not this life. But
the curiosity and the attraction that you feel towards
absolutely, them. Absolutely. Since the age of 10, the curiosity and the pull towards spirituality has been there. I mean, I can see myself from a third person's perspective. Why has no answer that can be articulated. Because of this, I was spiritual. There's only one thing, which is what I brought from my earlier lives to this life. And since this is a spiritual podcast, I'm more open enough to speak about this. Yeah.
I understand. So, can we discuss about the significance of the things that they do? Like a normal human being, however non-vegetarian he or she would be, would never venture into eating human flesh or excreta or using the skull as, I mean, I have seen aghoris eating rice and I think some brain gooey in the skull. Mm-hmm. So what are the significances of, one, eating the brain gooey matter, 2, why mix it with rice, 3, that skull, and human flesh, why that needs to be consumed?
Okay. Aghori sadhu or sadhus have no desires at all, except one, which is to merge with the consciousness of Shiva. And therefore, everything else is completely insignificant, including what they eat. Let me address specifically the question about human flesh. Aghori sadhus don't eat human flesh. It's not food for them. As in, it's not tasty food for them. Let me clarify. It is simply something that is there in front. They consume it. That's one perspective. They just consume it. They don't eat it like how we eat dinner or lunch. They don't enjoy the taste. They don't enjoy anything except their path of spirituality. Get that very clear, and I say this to all of us. So for them, consumption of human flesh is not just to fulfill the hunger that the body feels, but much more predominantly, it is because the flesh that they consume is typically and immediately that which is pulled out from a funeral pyre. Mm-hmm. After that body has been burnt enough that it can be pulled out. It is done with the permission of the family whose person is the deceased person there.
Really?
Yeah, they just don't go. I'm talking about the discipline. There are many who would cross that discipline and do what they want to, but I'm talking about the way that I have been told. If you're asked to come to a school at 9, there are people who also come at 9:05. I'm talking about discipline. I'm telling you the right thing that they do, that's supposed to be done, that I got to know. They will pull out the half burnt or partially burnt flesh, and the spiritual connection to that is a bit of tantra. Mm-hmm. They use the body as a medium to get or absorb certain energies, certain shaktis of that entity. Now they don't know who that entity is, but as long as, and they prefer, by the way, to only consume the flesh of those entities which are younger in age.
Mm-hmm.
Because the body also carries the sattvic tendencies along with the tamasic, and you have sattvic, tamasic and rajasic, right? So sattvic is what they want, and there are other aspects of the soul which is still there in the body because it has left its hovering around. They want to try and get the good aspects of that soul into them, which is why they also do it. That's just one way. So they don't eat flesh, they consume it only when it is required as part of a ritual that they do.
Okay.
Other than that, if one Aghori is found to be eating something like this, just offhand, that is truly irrelevant to the Aghori, what the Aghori eats. I've also seen myself, I've seen an Aghori being offered a bottle of whiskey or rum. The Aghori is impressed with the attitude that something is being offered. What is being offered is not that important to the Aghori. The Aghori drinks. Oh, he drank alcohol. But they are not, for them it is not alcohol. An Aghori has been known to convert water into alcohol.
Okay.
And give it back. So they don't have the urges that the normal human being has of smoking. I mean, Aghoris also smoke certain chillam because it accentuates, it enhances their intensity of meditation. I also want to add something here. Aghoris are only known, misunderstood to be, eating this, which from my side I've explained that they don't eat, but they also have been known to sit on the upper torso of a dead body before it is being sent for
cremation.
To the cremation. I've seen that happening at the cremation ground as the pujas are going on with the permission. They can't just sit, with the permission of the family of the deceased.
How will the family give any permission?
They do. It's not about any family. The family which comes to Kashi, to Varanasi, is also aware of the importance of spirituality. It is said that any body that is cremated at Kashi gets liberation then and there. So the family that comes in is not uneducated. And it is also known by all of us who are into the world of spirituality in different degrees of knowledge that if there's one place where Aghoris can be found, apart from others maybe, one for sure is Kashi. So they seek permission, and when I say they seek permission, I'm not saying like a written permission, not that way. They basically request verbally. They're known to sit on the body of the deceased person and do their kriyas, one of which is they use their hand movements to actually, not awaken, but to see that the soul inside the dead body starts communicating with it. And they try using mantras, using hand gestures to invoke that soul, and also through that process get themselves, what can I use the word, filled up, or completely they absorb those vibrations of that particular soul. As you know that for 13 days the soul hovers around,
right,
which is why they do the pujas to help the soul of that person to go on the path of liberation. So this, what they do is within that period of time. So there are so many things which I feel our spiritual community around the world, and especially the ones who live in Bharat, who believe in Mahadev, should research more, which is again the reason I wrote the book. I was not even a writer. I mean, I was I mean, I used to literally fail in English in school, and I had been reprimanded a couple of times by the teacher who said, if you keep failing, we might have to fail you in the class. So you better pull up your sleeves and pass. From that extreme to being blessed to be published by Penguin, my childhood dream. But that writing part was actually awakened by the urge to write about the Aghori sadhus.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I may not have written, because you need some inspiration. And I know for a fact, Aarti, that I was born with this urge, definitely, for knowing more about spirituality, and along with it, about the Aghori sadhus. Presently, I'm also researching on the beautiful spiritual awakening called Nagas. Not Naga sadhus only, but the Naga entities.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, for the viewers, I would want them to know that Mayur has earlier written and successfully published Aghori, an Untold Story 1, Aghori, an Untold Story 2, and he has finished writing Aghori, Death and Beyond,
Yes.
which will be published really soon, and we are looking forward to that, Mayur.
Me too.
Yes, the first and second were fabulous. I'm sure you have been told this by a lot of people. You have received a wonderful response already, and which is why you were inspired to write the third book, I'm sure. Because what happens is, even if we have beautiful experiences to share, unless they are received well, there's no point in writing another book.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you have definitely received.
Thank you very much. I place your feedback at my guru's feet. My guru is understood as, they're called, or they're named as Swami Satyojata Shankarashram.
Yes.
And I'm a Chitrapur Saraswat Brahmin. I speak Konkani. So with my guru, I went to Kailash Mansarovar. And I'll say for sure it was the most beautiful spiritual experience I had. In fact, after I came back from Kailash Mansarovar, it triggered in me the inspiration to convert my intent of writing about Aghoris into action. I had researched about them, but there was no idea of writing about them, in the sense there was nothing about the book and etc. It was something that I felt I should know about. And then given a chance, talk to people, etc. But after Kailash, it reinforced in me to express myself about Aghoris, but in a written way. So yes, Aghori.
So your experience with them, the living experience with them, was before Kailash or after Kailash?
It was much before Kailash. I have to say that I do experience their presence quite regularly. The reason for me to be able to, write so much is not only because I've done the research, the study of the Aghori sadhus, my meetings with them, which happened quite explicitly in real, is one aspect. But when I write, it's though it sounds a bit unreal, but I have to be honest to you with you that something gets triggered inside my head and my heart, and it makes me very inspired. Like, I've woken up at 1:30 in the morning when I had to go to the restroom, and then when I came out, I didn't want to sleep because I felt I have to. So it's just that rush of adrenaline that gets pumped up to write. So there's something that pushes me, and
there is some divine force that works within you when this topic is spoken about or ignited.
Yes. Or exactly. Even a streak or a small little
the spark,
pinch of the thought of an Aghori sadhu, it pushes me to write. And
that can take anything off, like food, sleep, doesn't matter at all to you.
True. It's so true. Because they are so divinely mysterious that there's always a lot of things that I've yet to learn from them about. And I'm happy that, if I can say this, that I'm one of the few chosen ones to write about the Aghori sadhus. There aren't too many people who've written, and I feel more people should write and should research first, and I'm sure that will happen.
And what is the difference between a tantric and an aghori?
Tantric is a noun. Tantra is also a noun, but Tantra is the science.
It's a technique of doing
it's
things.
a technique, where Tantra is a medium. So Tantric means a person who uses a medium. For example, okay, so let me start by saying Tantra is a subset of Aghori sadhu. Aghori sadhu can use the science of Tantra to fulfill his goal of attaining the Shiva Tattva. Although it is not the only one, it is not the only way, but they use it. For an Aghori, for example, the skull of a human body, the skull is a Tantra. They use it. They use the same skull even as a container to carry food. And by the way, when we talk about consumption of the human flesh, it's just once when they have to use it for a particular tantric technique. But otherwise, they use the skull also to eat from rice and dal and etc.
So that is like their a prisoner cup used for everything.
A prisoner cup, is it? Okay.
So when you are imprisoned, there is a cup given to you which you use for everything.
Oh,
drinking water also, your rice also, your
but this
dal
cup
also.
this cup would be a bit different, because this is the cup that also helps the Aghori sadhu to unprison himself or herself from the worldly affairs, because it's
so what
also
are
used.
the powers that a skull carries that it is essential for them?
A skull by itself is more symbolic to the Aghori sadhu. When the Aghori sadhu looks at the skull, fixes his or her gaze at the skull, it also reminds the Aghori of the fact that life is beyond the human body, that the skull is all that remains, but there is more even beyond. Death is imminent. These are messages. But the skull also is used for certain pujas, as in certain practices that they do. I've seen an Aghori perform a puja with the skull as a medium, where as part of the puja, the Aghori sadhu applies the kumkum on the skull. Basically, it's a combination of the skull, the other aspects like kumkum, ash,
cremation ash,
the black kajal that they also apply. But that's not all. Most important is the chantings of certain mantras and stotras that they do while doing the puja. It helps them to completely merge with the skull and the tantras and the stotras and the kumkum and everything. It's as they call it, a package deal. It's not just the skull. They awaken they let the skull become a medium for them to connect with certain energies, which is why they find themselves at the cremation grounds doing all that. Either there, or I've been told that they also do pujas like these in caves deep inside the jungles. But that is the profound significance of the skull. If one goes to a cremation ground, they can also get a skull. A skull by itself doesn't have any power. It is how you connect with it using the chantings. Now, I have learned, for example, a chanting. It is not to do with Aghori sadhus, because they keep their chants extremely secretive. It's only if you become an Aghori sadhu, then you're initiated, and then as
You
you
might
rise,
share. Huh.
not initially, as you rise in the advancement of being an Aghori sadhu, that's when you're blessed with some certain mantras. I have seen an Aghori sadhu who was given an anushtana, as in a chant to be chanted for a period of 6 months, for 8 hours to 10 hours to 12 hours, but it has got its own numbering. Like we do 108 chants, so a few lakh chants in a day.
Understood.
So that's Aghori was given this anushtana by his guru. So it is that way. There's a system, and that Aghori sadhu went on to do it. And at the end, I had never seen an Aghori sadhu have tears, literally sobbing at the fact that the guru was impressed, and the guru came to that cremation ground. And when that entire process of the anushtana was completed, it was very tough. I mean, very tough would be an understatement.
Absolutely. Chanting for 12 hours is not a joke.
And that too at the cremation ground. So they go beyond fear, they go beyond a lot of things. But to complete it, it made the Aghori sadhu really very fulfilled. So when they do all these things in gradations with respect to how they go more and more advanced and deeper, that is also to be understood as part of Tantra. Now, when they use a skull or the other things that I mentioned, it is also the way to attract energies from the chantings. So I was talking about a chant that, or a chanting, maybe I can use the word chanting, for us as spiritual sadhakas. For example, the Bij Akshara chanting, which has got a lot of Shakti in it. Om Aing Hring Shring Gurubhyo Namaha is the body of that chanting. Om Aing Hring Shring Gurubhyo Namaha. The Gurubhyo Namaha is finally to placate the intensity. To say to yourself, it is all, for the Guru.
I offer everything at your divine lotus feet.
Exactly. But it is not said as Om Aing Hring Shring. That's only me telling you what the words are, the Bij Aksharas are. But how is it to be chanted is like this. Om Aing Hring Shring Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Aing Hring Shring Gurubhyo Namaha. This ignites, awakens the different parts of your physiology, of your body, internally. It has that impact, that profound effect on your cells, on the muscles, the tissues, the nerves, at every point of your body, including your brain. So when you say Om Aing Hring Shring Gurubhyo Namaha, at my Guru's feet, but the vibrations or the vibrational intensity deeply impacts Mayur Kalbag or anybody. So whenever,
listening to it.
Yeah, when you say it, Aarti, your body listens to it.
Yeah.
If I say it and you listen to it, there's nothing wrong. But the impact is comparatively lesser.
Comparatively lesser, but it is good enough for somebody to get stirred.
Absolutely. Something is better than nothing. But sometimes nothing is better than everything. When you go into that nothingness, but I believe, as from what I've learned from my Guru, that when you fill up your mind and your body with good vibrations, that is better than everything. So when you say it's not om. So there are ways. This is how we as sadhakas and students of our Guru, what our Guru has taught us, this is how we chant.
So I have a question
Yeah,
here.
sure.
The way you chanted, is this the pace that these guys chant at if they have to finish 1,25,000 in a day, suppose?
So that is, okay, good question. What I've chanted in front of you right now is not a mantra that should be chanted mentally. It is a mantra that has to be chanted outwardly. Loudly.
So that the cells listen to you.
Correct. But there are mantras. For example, Om Namah Shivaya. For example, Om Ganapataye Namaha. There are Devi mantras also. My point is that there is a difference. I cannot reveal to anybody how they chant because even I have not been allowed to. But I know for a fact that many of us have been initiated by our Guru into mantra japa. They are smaller in texture, in the way they are, body, and they need to be chanted mentally. The power of the vibrations that get awakened through mental chanting, that power is much more than saying it loud. But like you said earlier, saying it loud or listening to somebody else is always better. So Aghori sadhus do a lot of murmuring. They do that. There are some chants they do loudly also that I've heard. But I can never venture to ask them what it is and all because I don't have the license. I'm not qualified. Only when I become an Aghori, I'll probably get that. Hopefully soon.
So did you not feel like getting initiated into the aghoris sadhanas?
Or should you say getting re-initiated? Because I must have been one, I'm sure.
Yeah. That we cannot talk of in this lifetime.
Yes. I was very attracted to it. Naturally, I was very keen to know about them and attracted, but I also was aware that I have my own Guru, Swami Satyojata Shankarashram, and I am on my path. And the path that they traverse, the Aghori sadhus, is like climbing a steep cliff. It's not easy. It's not easy for people like us. And I know for a fact I would never be initiated in this life.
Oh, okay.
And if I had that urge to be initiated, I wouldn't talk about it. I would just go into it.
Right.
There would have not been any space for
There'll
research.
There'll be no conversation or writing,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Because then you would be in your own world like how they are.
When you are at your thirstiest best or the worst, when you're really, really thirsty, all you could think of is not Coca-Cola and other drinks. All you can think of is water. That urge that I want water, that's it. I'm so thirsty. That thirst probably has not yet reached that level where you just want to be the Aghori. There is no conversation on that. But
you
right
have
now,
said this so beautifully that yes, we all who are living this kind of a life and are still basic sadhaks.
Yeah.
I'm using the word basic. I'm not comparing you or me here.
Sure.
I'm just saying that one thing that I just want to merge with Mahadev or Devi, until that desire takes over all the other desires that we have, it is difficult to devote your life entirely towards that.
Very true. Very well said. I'm sure that the viewers who are watching this and who feel the spiritual streak within them, who practice certain sadhanas, who chant something, who love listening to stotrams, I think they have understood what you have said right now, and I hope they've understood what I've said. The urge goes, that urge goes beyond desire as well.
Yes.
And there are no words spoken. But at the level or at that stage that we are, chanting stotras is beautifully intense. What I mean by this is, Aarti, that even if we we may intellectually want to be in the forest and meditate. Intellectually, we are very attracted. But, if you put that same person in the forest, after 2 days, he wants to come back home.
Yeah.
Because we are not yet there. But that same person who had that urge to be the Aghori or be a sadhaka or a sadhu or practice
and really attain
and really go deep into spirituality, that person like me can chant, for example, Vishveshwaraya Vishakantha Vibhushanaya Karnamritaya Shashishekhara Dharanaya Karpura Kanti Dhavalaya Jatadharaya Daridrya Dukkha Dahanaya Namah Shivaya Daridrya Dukkha Dahanaya Namah Shivaya Daridrya Dukkha Dahanaya Namah Shivaya. Even chanting stotrams gets you closer to the super consciousness of Mahadev. And I learned this from my guru.
Absolutely.
So this conversation is beautiful because it's very practically relevant to all the people.
So I happened to speak to an Aghori before, and he was telling that, I said, what differentiates you? He said, we torture our bodies like nobody's business because we want to compel our mother and father, that is Shiva and Shakti, to come before us, to appear before us. So he said that if your child is crying and he's really crying, you will leave everything in the kitchen and go attend to him.
Right.
Likewise, we torture ourselves to the extent, wherein they are compelled to appear before us.
True.
So that really hit me very hard that, of course, one way is the Vedantic way where you see people meditating for years and years. And
can I add one small little point?
Yes, please.
When I had my interaction with an Aghori sadhu in recent times, not before, I don't talk about it much because it's not required to be spoken about. But in that I did pose a similar kind of a question, that why so much of difficulty in the sadhana? I got a different answer as well.
Okay.
The answer was, I'm trying to say it in the way that I have understood. Okay. What that Aghori sadhu was trying to tell me is that for them the body is immaterial. It's only a tantra, a sadhan. It's just a medium. What is actually important to them is the Kundalini Shakti that resides in them, especially along the spinal cord, right from Mooladhara Chakra to the Sahasrara, and then through the Swadhisthana, etc. Manipura, Anahata, Ajna Chakra. For them, that invisible
force
part of the body is all that matters. When they sit and do 12 hours of meditation, 20 hours of meditation for say 6 weeks to 6 years to 6 months to 60 years to 600 years and then 6,000 years, they're so unaware of their body because their entire concentration is only on their spinal cord, the invisible energy channel. And once they reach, or they get themselves in the mind to reach that point of Sahasrara, they like to be in that state, which is called pure bliss. But they go also a step ahead with respect to wanting to know more about Mahadev, in a way merging with Mahadev. So in that process, what we call torture, for them it's not. They have gone beyond that.
But if we have not trained our bodies, so to say,
Yeah.
to sit for such long hours. I'm sure the Aghori, who is just initiated and was a normal human being like you and me before he got initiated, he might not even have the strength to sit
True.
for 6 hours.
True. So it doesn't mean when I talk about all this, it's please don't understand this differently. That once a person who's a normal person at the age of 17, 18 feels like I am the Aghori and something's gotten awakened within me and gets initiated, and then suddenly he can sit for 12 hours. No, because it all is about nurturing. You know how we nurture a seed into a sapling, into a plant, into a tree? That's exactly how the Guru nurtures that person who joins. It's a growth. So if I become the Aghori sadhu in that sense that when I get initiated, etc., the Guru will not say that अच्छा बच्चे हो गया Aghori, अभी जाओ और बैठो अनुष्ठान करो 6 दिन no 6 घंटे या 6 दिन. No. It's just like any learning process. If you want to be a black belt in karate martial arts and you feel okay, you join the dojo or the school of karate, that does not mean that you're suddenly you're put through a black belt course of doing 100 push-ups. Impossible. So there is a path upward, quite steep, rather very steep, but one step at a time.
And what if the person has gotten initiated, but in a few months or years' time, he feels that no, I don't think I can continue anymore. So are they allowed to move back to the normal life, or they are not?
I have not really asked this question. So it's a good question, but I've got an answer on their own. They just shared. I think they must have thought that maybe this guy wants to be an Aghori.
So he better know the nuances of it.
Yeah. So the answer to your question is this. It is not easy to get inside, as in metaphorically get inside, as in become an Aghori.
In their inner circle, so to say.
Yeah. They will understand your earlier lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
They will see if you can, in future, be able to go through the so-called torture. They have the ability. Because you must remember that when they practice their sadhana towards merging with the consciousness of Mahadev, in the process of doing that and the process of troubling their body and putting it through so much of rigor, they also attain a lot of siddhis, powers. One of it is clairvoyance. They can see. If tomorrow I go to an Aghori sadhu and say, I want to, even if I'm very, very keen, they will assess me not only from this life, even the earlier lives I've led. The papas I've done, the punyas I've done, everything is properly analyzed in their own way. And so therefore, the probability of some person joining and leaving is least. But there have been instances where worse has happened, where there are Aghoris, they want to be the black belt, metaphorically speaking, as Aghoris. They've reached the green belt, but they've also in the process attained certain siddhis and powers. And then the Kalyug plays some role.
Maya plays a role.
Maya plays a role, and they start getting tempted towards making money because people are ready, because they can do some things. So they have gone rogue in that sense. वो होता है, that happens.
तो फिर उस analysis में उनके गुरु ने
then they're not anymore accepted as students.
No, so this was not foreseen by the guru that this guy could go rogue?
There are see, he can be initiated with the clarity that he will do it. But then the what do you call?
Free will?
No, one second. It's called the temptations, the devilish temptations of Maya. And the greed which comes with the Maya, some things cannot be easily predicted. I'm kind of working with this because sometimes even I wonder why aren't they able to? But if a Ravana could also do that with Mahadev, the ahankara that he got, which was not predicted by anybody, but it happened. Ravana was one of the most deepest sadhakas and shishas, or he looked up to Mahadev. But what happened? So some things can happen. So it's not there. So even if they say, and they say, okay, you can be the Aghori sadhu, there is a 1% chance that Maya can come and lure that person towards something else.
So there is a $1 million question which I keep asking everybody, and what is free will? Is free will just a misnomer, or you actually have a free will? Because I feel, what I have understood, that we feel we are doing it, but the desire of doing it was instilled by the divine. We feel we made this mistake, but the mistake was meant to happen. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? That we are told, like how we tell the child, will you take pink or blue? We do not give him orange and yellow.
I have a small little, example or an experience or a way that I can answer your question is when you're flying a kite, okay, the kite, once it reaches a decent height, and when you give it a bit of freedom, it has its own free will to move wherever it wants to. But then when it goes downwards, for example, the kite, patang, the person who is flying the kite will pull it up, will adjust its direction, though the distance could be more than, say, 3 or 4 kilometers from where the person is and where the kite is. So I understand free will like that. There is somebody who is flying me, but I also feel at times I have free will, till the point that I'm reminded that you do have free will, but remember that there is something beyond just your free will.
So that free will also is like making us feel that we have the free will.
Correct.
But net the blueprint is already written.
Absolutely.
And on the same path we keep treading our entire lives.
And so the whole basis of astrology is what? You do whatever you want, but then something has been already destined for you. You can.
But then they also say that you can change your destiny.
I was about to say that you can change the destiny.
अगर वेदांतिन्स की बात करें, they say that हम onion garlic से भी affect होते हैं जब हम साधना करते हैं, right? The day they consume onion garlic,
yes,
they say that आज हमारी साधना उतनी अच्छी नहीं हुई. And here we have aghoris, जो वो कुछ भी खा लें उनकी साधना अफेक्ट नहीं होती है.
right.
ये जो बेसिक डिफरेंस है in their own consciousness or in our consciousness, the path that we choose, whether it's the Vedantic path or the Aghora path.
True.
I'm not even using the word Tantric because Tantric is a subsect of Aghora, as we discussed some time back.
Very true.
So इतना ज़्यादा कैसे फ़र्क पड़ जाता है कि आप एक तरफ अनियन गार्लिक खाते हैं और आपकी साधना उतनी अच्छी नहीं हुई, and then you keep hearing these things, जैसा आपका अन्न वैसा आपका मन. तो इनके अन्न से इनका मन क्यों विचलित नहीं होता है?
At the outset, as I respond to your question, there are 3 tendencies that the body has or exhibits: the Rajasic, the Tamasic, and the Sattvic.
Correct.
Amongst the foods that we consume, the lasan, garlic, in terms of vegetables, garlic has got a lot of tamasic tendencies, which means that when a person consumes or over consumes it, has a lot of garlic through food, obviously, the tamasikta in that person enhances tremendously. वो कम करने के लिए people avoid eating garlic. Similarly, non-veg food, especially red meat, has got tamasikta, which is why it is said to refrain from eating red meat especially. I've had friends who eat fish or who eat egg, but they don't eat chicken. I've had people who eat only chicken, they don't eat red meat, and there are people who eat red meat also. This is the first part, as part of my answer to your question, that the tendencies dictate to be eaten or not. Now, when you compare Aghori sadhus who eat anything and everything, and Vedantins, as you said, who prefer to stay away, especially on the days of their meditation, they refrain from eating that lasan, etc., on the day of the meditation because the tamasikta comes as a barrier or an obstacle to their intensity of the meditation. The tamasikta, not just the garlic. So, to your question, the Vedantins don't eat so as to not let the tendencies of tamasikta come in the way of their pure sattvic meditation. Aghori sadhus meditate throughout. They sleep maybe 2-3 hours just for their body to get the rest. When Vedantins meditate, they meditate for a particular period of time. When an Aghori sadhu looks at himself or herself, he or she doesn't associate himself doing anything else except sadhana. When that intensity is so much, so strong, it kills any kind of tamasikta. Therefore, it doesn't matter to them. They consume human flesh as part of the tantra. So I hope you're reading between the lines. That power that they generate through their meditation decimates every kind of tamasikta, including from the garlic, etc. And they never eat garlic as a requirement for making food tasty. For them, it doesn't matter. You place something which is eatable, they'll eat it. They'll drink something which is going to quench their thirst, they'll drink it. They won't think much about it. That's my answer to your question.
And in the Himalaya, you don't find women, right?
Of course we do. But it's not about n number of men and n number of women. It doesn't work that way. I've known an Aghori sadhvi, a lady, a woman Aghori, not even from India. She came to the Himalayas and she found it so amazing, spiritually speaking, especially spiritually, that she decided to make Himalayas, that ashram there where she was, as her home, and she's been there for the last 65 years. And there are Aghori sadhvis, but the percentage is not very much, because it is a very harsh way of meditation which doesn't augur well for the female Aghoris. But there are, it's not that there is no dictum or there is no rule like that. Anybody with a soul inside and who has the qualifications, irrespective of gender, can go and become or go on the path of Aghora. I hope you're finding this interaction interesting.
It is food for my soul. How can one remove lust, anger, greed, attachment, pride, jealousy, fear, shame, disgust from their consciousness by bringing Aghori practices into daily lives?
When a person practices any kind of sadhana, whether it's as I'm using your word, a Vedantin type of sadhana or any type, including the Aghori sadhana, it tremendously but slowly when I say tremendously, with full impact, but at a steady rate, decreases the element of desires, the greed and the desire for wealth or for flesh. This greed slowly starts depleting as the spiritual intensity increases, at a point where you don't have that urge or the greed or the lust for etc. etc. Lust, love, they're all words which speak of certain emotions of the human body and the human mind. I believe personally that when a person starts doing more and more sadhana, the lust falls off and the love for that entity for whom you're doing the sadhana, that increases. But the love for greed, and the greed therefore for the Maya aspects decreases. There's only one love, which I personally call it bhakti, which goes beyond love. Nishtha, which goes beyond love. When a person reaches that point, I believe that person is closest to Mahadev energy. And by then, all the other nitty-gritties like this, that, lust, greed, whatever, it just falls off. You won't have it again. Which is why when you see the people who are on the path of Bhakti Marga, Sadhana Marga, as you see them grow, you'll find that they will not be craving for things or wanting things. जो मिला है वो उसमें संतुष्ट है. That's the difference I feel between people who are on the path of sadhana, who are not on the path of sadhana, and who are quite deep into sadhana. That's how it affects us.
How beautiful.
It's all, I'm only sharing what I feel and hopefully feeling what I share. But it's a blessing of my Guru. And I'm not the only one. There are many of us. We have been put on the marga. But the balance is important, of the balance between following the path and being balanced about your greed and about your ambitions. I'm still the corporate trainer who travels to Fiji Islands and does my sessions on leadership. I've not left everything and just because that time has not yet come. But while I'm doing all that, because I'm practicing spirituality, it is helping me to refrain myself from the negative aspects of the Kali Yuga. You getting my point? And that's, I think, the best for all of us. We follow on the path of spirituality and slowly witness the other temptations slowly depleting. Fade away.
And then, like they say that you just take one step towards the divine and he takes 4 steps towards you.
Well, I'm to be honest, I'm not into the steps that they take. But I think what you mean by that is...
Like if you're about to falter, he will definitely handhold Mahadev.
I mean, there's no, at that level, there is no he and she.
Yeah,
I mean,
but that's a much later stage. Yeah. But if you're about to falter in the initial stages,
it comes, the energy comes.
The energy comes.
Only if you're spiritually on the path.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there are people who fall off. There has to be the connect with that energy. That energy will manifest itself in ways that you may not even realize. And there are so many true life incidents like that, where that energy has manifested itself in the form of a village going person who guides that other person who's been lost. And then after some time, that person who's been lost is not able to find that other person, because the energy has done its bit. Yeah. For me, my Mahadev, my Devi, my everything I see in my Guru. And that's the fact. And it's as clear as water, that when I'm thirstiest, I need my water. When in my spiritual pursuit, I look at Mahadev. When I went to Kailash Mansarovar with my Guru, there is the Kailash. For me, the Kailash itself is the energy of Mahadev. But at my level, as a sadhaka, I see my Mahadev in my Guru, because that is how they are, that is who they are.
So somebody who does not have a guru and yet wants to follow spirituality, do you feel that the inner voice, if they start listening to, we all have the divine voice sitting inside us
Yeah.
as the soul, which also becomes our guru at
The inner
some point in
voice,
time?
the inner voice also depends upon the inner voice's divinity or the lack of it also depends upon your past life karmas. Point number one. I would say that somebody who even feels that he or she should have a guru is on the right path. Even having that desire of wanting a guru is a great sign of the fact that the person is on the right path. The first thing that the person could do, and at the outset, let me say that he or she must have a guru. Otherwise, it's like a boat sailing in the most beautiful ocean but directionless. The boat should have a sail to give it direction. That sail is the guru. So I pray we all should have a guru. There are people who don't have a guru, like you said. Then start looking for spiritual mentors. Before my guru, Swami Sadyojata Shankarashram was blessed to me, because of my past karmas, I guess, I was drawn towards Swami Vivekananda and their teachings.
Mm-hmm.
I was drawn towards a book called The Autobiography of a Yogi by Swami Yogananda. I read that book when I was 15 years old, or around that age. I was in school, and my grand uncle's father-in-law, it's a bit complicated, but we were all together and we were staying at my grand uncle's farmhouse. Actually, he's my uncle, sorry, but he's very grand, so I call him my grand uncle. And that his father-in-law asked me, you should do something for your body, you're growing now. And then he asked me, you should read books. Have you read this book, The Autobiography of a Yogi? I said, I had not heard of it, never. He said, when you go back to Mumbai, search for it, read it, it's very good. But also do your Surya Namaskar. I remember he saying that, my uncle's father-in-law. But that book prepared me to understand who is a guru. Swami Vivekananda's book on Jnana Yoga, Raj Yoga, made me more aware that there is a world beyond this world, a world of vibrations. It made me prepared for my guru. So reading books like these, even a book, for example, Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach, I found it very profound. It's a story of a seagull who wants to fly higher than the other seagulls. And as I was reading it, I was connecting the seagull to the life of a sadhaka who wants to go deeper. So reading helps to get you the guru. But is guru necessary? Well, you want to be a boat without the sail, or you want to be a boat with the sail, is your choice. I would say that go for the sail.
But don't you think the guru chooses us and we don't choose the guru?
It cannot be that black and white. The guru never chooses anybody. There is no arrogance of that sort. I choose you. It doesn't work that way. Guru is like the sun. The rays are going off. You need to keep the curtains open. Guru doesn't choose, not in the way that you're putting it. But the guru, like the Aghori I spoke about, when you go, they will also, wo aapko tatolte hain, they examine you. The guru, of course, will understand whether you're ready for it or not. If you join the karate class and you want to be a black belt, yes, but are you ready to go through the white belt and the yellow belt and etc.? So that is a process, but a guru doesn't choose like that. I think it doesn't work that way. But you have to pray for the Guru, and you have to make yourself more paripakwa. You cannot cook potatoes without boiling them properly. I mean, you can't eat them. You have to first cook them properly, right? So make yourself more, prepared for the Guru, and the Guru is there already. I have seen many people who talk about this, that they want, मुझे भी गुरु चाहिए. I have to tell them, ऐसे क्या गुरु चाहिए क्या, वो केक है क्या, गुरु चाहिए? Can't just want it like that. Do you practice something? No time, okay. Do you chant something because you can do? Do you read something? Nothing of that sort. But they want a guru because they've heard it's important to have a guru in life. That cosmetic perspective I don't agree with. You really feel ना, जिसको लगता है ना गुरु चाहिए, वो automatically progression हो जाएगा. The reading will start. Even chanting, stotram start. There are people who are there for the Ganpati evening aartis, and I've seen some of them are completely in it, and there are many who are just joking and talking, and aarti is going on, and then Jai Dev, Jai Dev, they just kind of join in during certain periods of time. So check your own intensity. After the aarti, understand who Ganesha is. Why is Ganesha symbolic of the beginning? What is Ganesha's relationship with Mahadev and Parvati? Read. That's why reading scriptures helps tremendously. I hope I've answered your question. I went a bit more detailed, but I think it is a very critical question you asked. Should we ask for a guru, or do they just come to you? I hope I've responded to that.
Yes, you have.
Good.
We've all heard about this very beautiful story that Rishi Vashisht had spent thousands of years in sadhana, and then when he cursed the Devi, she appeared before him and she said, "You were trying to look for me in the Vedantic way, while as you should have taken the Tantric way, and then I would have been pleased." So, how can we know which sadhana or which path for us is the best? So a lot of people say that, oh, the people who've chosen the Aghora path, they tell me that you're on the wrong path, Meditation is not going to help you. You should actually get initiated into Aghora sadhanas. And I feel that, how can that person know what is best for me?
Whether it's Aghora or Aghori sadhu, or it's a Naga sadhu, or it's any saint meditating in the Himalayas or anywhere, or you doing your sadhana, everything that is towards merging with the consciousness of Mahadev has to be through the prism of meditation only. So when somebody says, "Arey, ye kya karti hai? Join Aghora." So does that mean Aghora sadhana doesn't have meditation? Of course it does. What is meditation really? Is applying attention to a medium. When I or you do Om Namah Shivaya with complete focus and concentration and immersion, total involvement into the mental chanting of Om Namah Shivaya, you are actually meditating. You're applying your attention to that medium of the mantra. Aghori sadhus absolutely in capital letters meditate. People who meditate don't even answer that way. Realize one thing, that Aghori sadhus use Tantra as a way to meditate. Tantric or Tantra is not the end to the means, it's the means to the end. So when somebody says, "Usme jao, usme meditation nahi hai," that's completely wrong. It is about meditation helping you go deeper through the chantings, through whatever that you do. Maybe pranayama is a meditation. If you go deeper into it, it gets you not only deeper but closer to the consciousness. It purifies the soul. At a mind level, you get completely focused on that divine entity that we call Mahadev or any deity. So therefore, I think that when you want to, or if somebody says Aghori Tantra or Aghori sadhana is very tough. It's got. You have to ask them, what do you know about them? What do they do? When they sit at the cremation ground, what do they actually do? क्या करते हैं? नहीं, वो तो तंत्र करते क्या exactly? From my perspective, I may be wrong, I'm only sharing my perspective, is they practice meditation. They do their mantra japa as well. They have a guru as well. Many people don't know that. They think that वो वहाँ बैठते हैं मतलब बस हो गया, यही है अघोरी और कुछ नहीं है. उनका भी there's a lineage. That is when I feel the aghoratva, the aghori aspect gets awakened. You may not be an aghori, but the courage to deal with situations, the complete fearless devotion towards Mahadev that the aghori depicts and symbolizes through his or her action, हम उसको भी imbibe करते हैं धीरे धीरे से. So you can be a Vedantin, you can be an aghori, you can be whatever that is there spiritually, but it all has to be completely soaked in the science of meditation and japa.
And then you mentioned bhakti also, which comes at a later part.
The bhakti is, you're assuming bhakti is towards a person.
No.
Bhakti towards your
the
japa.
Love towards
what?
Towards whatever you want to achieve.
So when you're meditating,
whatever you want to merge with.
So bhakti is the devotion, right? I'm devoted to the sport of lawn tennis. That's my bhakti.
True.
I'm devoted to playing tabla. That's my bhakti.
Absolutely.
So you're right.
I agree.
But that devotion should be there. I mean, I'm only adding value to your point. Is that
so? Like you said, loyalty. You mentioned this point. Then you mentioned as in nishtha जो आपने बोला.
Yes.
उसका English word I'm using. कि nishtha.
Nishtha, loyalty is not the word. Nishtha is
actually,
much beyond that.
Nishtha.
But this is closer.
Closest. In English, there are a lot of words.
Yeah.
With the lack of better word is what I can say.
The deepest determined loyalty towards something could be nishtha, maybe. But you're right. There is no word. But yeah. Okay. So you're
जैसे
saying.
निष्ठा, आपका उस चीज के लिए प्रेम, उस चीज के लिए भक्ति, वो जिस चीज में आप पूरा 100% डाल देते हैं, वो चीज को आप अचीव करना चाहते हैं. That is how you merge with, like the desire that we spoke about of merging with the divine.
Very true.
Is when you soak yourself with the devotion, the nishtha and the prem towards it,
Very
right?
true. Very
so
true.
whether it is the Vedantin path or the Aghora path, doesn't matter. This factor remains common to both.
बैलगाड़ी हो, ट्रैक्टर हो, या मर्सिडीज हो या बेंटली हो, जाना तो वहां पे ही है.
That's so beautiful.
That's destination. अगर हमें पता नहीं
different.
है, and we need the sail, because I only talked about the motor vehicles. What about the ships? So everybody has to go and is going probably. They're taking their time. कोई तो बैलगाड़ी पे है.
Actually, it's mentioned in that book, Autobiography of a Yogi, also, that without the knowledge of the soul, also it is still moving in that direction, but will take a little longer than others.
Exactly. And therefore, all the viewers, of this lovely podcast should understand that whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not, we are on the path.
Yeah.
Only thing is, we pray that from Bailgadi we move on to the Bentley.
A little faster.
Maybe a Formula One.
Yeah. You had mentioned that when you can take the faster vehicle, why stick to a slower one?
True.
Right? आपने ये mention किया था, जो कि मुझे भी लगता है.
हाँ.
And do you feel Aghora is a faster vehicle than?
It's a vehicle. We've talked about motor vehicles. We've talked about ships. We haven't talked about rockets. So
nice.
That's the way it is. But it's a steep, tough climb, and you have to be. It's like going into a school and saying, karate classes join karna hai, and then going to Shaolin, going to Tibet or someplace, and then joining a Shaolin monastery. Oh, that's different. So Aghori sadhana is like joining the Shaolin way of martial arts. Very deep, very tough, but very fructifying, very satisfying, and you need a guru for that. You need a guru for that. And that will happen with all of us.
And they say that in Vedantic sadhana also, if you are religious for 12 years, you do reach a place.
Yes.
Like 12 years is a good enough time for Kalyug for somebody to get enlightened.
Yeah.
But Aghori sadhana, I don't know whether it is 12 years or nothing got to do with
Aghori
it.
sadhana doesn't have a time zone as such. Aghori sadhana is completely dictated or directed by the guru of the Aghora. Aghora, depending upon your ability to take up those anushtanas and those techniques. But it's faster. How fast is very subjective, and I have my own apprehensions about 12 years and stuff, because is there a way? I just think that there are some paths which require more time and some which require less time. I think that's how I look at it. The intensity matters, no? You will say that I am a Vedantin and I will complete this in 12 years. But if you break it down, what are you going to do? Are you going to meditate? How long will you meditate? Okay, you will chant something. How many you will chant? So if you go to the nitty-gritties of it, then you realize that 12 years is just a ballpark figure, 12 years. But there could be somebody who could finish or get that awakening maybe in 10 years, because that person has meditated more. So it's very subjective.
Very subjective.
But yeah, after a time of practice, there has to be the awakening, no? 100%. But whether 12 years, 10 years, 5 years, 1 year, it completely depends upon how intensely, how passionately, and with the nishtha towards reaching that soul. How will you do that? If you're doing it fast, it'll happen faster. But you have to do it with the guidance of the guru. That's where I come from. I have not found anyone who says I'm doing so much, but I'm a guru. I don't need a guru. ऐसे भी लोग हैं guru ने. My school of thought says that you should have a master, you should have a mentor, or you should have a guru.
Correct.
This flute, for example, when I met one of the Aghori sadhus recently, he was telling me that आप कुछ बजाते हो, कुछ करते हो, कि सिर्फ पुस्तक लिखते हो, सिर्फ. So I said, no, I'm learning, I've learned tabla, which I have learned for 13 years. He said, flute man mein flute. He had a small flute and he played the flute. As in just a few tunes. And he said, Siko in his own list. And I got very inspired. And I said, chalo, try karte hai. So I ordered a flute. I went to YouTube. I found out कहाँ से कुछ भी करके तिगड़म करके I got a flute and I'm learning on my own. So as a respect to the Aghori sadhu, I want to play. I'm just learning, okay? So let me see how it comes out. Huh?
Yes, please.
And just before I start, what he meant was sadhana should also incorporate melody. That's why bhajans, rhythm. तन्मय हो जा मेरे मन, शिवमय हो जा मेरे मन, नील अनाविल मौन गगन, नील अनाविल मौन गगन, गीत सुनाता बहे पवन, अष्टमूर्ति का दिव्य नटन, अष्टमूर्ति का दिव्य नटन, अखिल जगत अनुपम आंगन, तन्मय हो जा मेरे मन, शिवमय हो जा, गुरुमय हो जा मेरे मन. This is my Guru's bhajan. We sung this bhajan while we were on the banks of Brahmaputra on the way towards Kailash Parvat.
Wow.
But I sung it to reiterate what the Aghori Sadhu said to me in their own way. That is, add music, add creative thinking, add melody, and your spirituality will blossom. So this is something I want to try.
Sure.
To all the viewers, pardon me if I make a mistake. Huh? So I learned this particular tune, which I think the younger generation will relate to. Let me see if it comes out.
I don't know if the younger generation can, but I
But you
could
could,
definitely relate to
Yeah,
it.
we are
It's
still young.
Malgudi days.
Yeah. Na, na. So I've learned this inspired by the Aghori Sadhu. It took some time. You know, it doesn't work that way. That wo bolenge ki flute sikho, then I'll go and buy. It also took some time. I thought about it, karu ki nahi what, and then finally I was inspired. But you know, there's a bit of fear ki flute kaise sikho yaar at this stage of life. But then because they said it, there was that vibrational strength in their voice, I feel, that ultimately it happened. And today I could play something in front of you. But it was wonderful, man. And
Thank you so much.
as a token of my love and regards to you, Aarti, and to all the viewers for applying your patience and listening to me and Aarti, I would like to signify and offer my respects to this podcast by playing the conch, and after this I will chant. Reverse कर देना, पहले
Sure.
conch बजाऊंगा.
Samputit.
Shloka to, from my side, bring this journey of podcast to a new beginning. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Bhavani Shankaraya Namaha, Om Shri Sadyojata Shankarashramaya Namaha, Om Jata Katahi Sambhraman Brahman Nilimpa Nirjhari Vilollavi Chivallari Virajamana Murdhani Dhagat 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 Jwalallata Patta Pavake Kishora Chandra Shekhare Rati Pratikshanam Mama Kada Nilimpa Nirjhari Nikunja Kotare Vasan Vimukta Durmati Sada Shirastamanjalim Vaham Vimukta Lola Locha Lola Lama Bhala Lagnakaha Shiveti Mantramucharan Kada Sukhim Bhavamyaham Om Namah Parvati Pataya Hara Hara Mahadeva.